Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be sharing an article that I read just early this morning on the New York Times paper. It's about what is happening in Gaza in these days. And this article really, and also the picture that, I had a possibility to watch shocked me. I'm really sad for what is happening in this, stripe of a territory. The title of this article is The Trauma of a Childhood in Gaza. Over the past 2 years, tens of thousands of children in the territory have been killed, wounded, or orphaned. Childhood, as they once knew, it has ceased to exist. The numb, the traumas of wartime Gaza. Rahma Abu Abed, 12, plays a game with her friends. They ask one another, "What did you eat before the war? What did your home look like before the war? What would you wear if you had new clothes?" For Rama, who recounted these details in an interview alongside her mother, Heba, the answers are often less shocking than tragic. Sorry, I mispronounced the word. Are often less soothing than tragic. She hasn't eaten meat in months. Her parents said her home in southern Gaza has been flattened. Satellite imagery shows. Her clothes are mostly under the rubble. The beach, where her parents occasionally took her as a treat before the war, has become a full-time home. Rama now lives in a storehouse for fishing equipment with her parents and the four siblings who share the space with several displaced families. She usually eats one meal a day, often lentils or pasta. Her parents said, "Try to remember what good food looked like." Rama plays with the wet sand, shaping it into imaginary meals. If someone gave me a choice between crayons and bread, Rama said, I would choose the bread. After 22 months of war, childhood in Gaza hardly exists. There are about 1.1 million children in the territory, and nearly all require mental health or psychological support, according to research by the United Nations. Most of them have been out of school for nearly 2 years after Israel's 11-week blockade on food this year. All children younger than 5 are at risk of acute malnutrition, the United Nations said. Israel's military operation, which began after Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on October 7, 2023, has killed more than 80,000 Palestinians under the age of 18, according to the Gaza health authorities, who do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. About two-thirds of them did not reach their teenage years. A New York Times investigation last year found that since the start of the war, the Israeli military has significantly loosened safeguard meant to protect civilians, including children. Normal markers of childhood are gone, replaced by hunger, fear, and all-consuming trauma, said James Elder, a spokesman for UNICEF, maybe, okay, who has regularly visited Gaza throughout the war. This was this war is being waged as if childhood itself has no place in Gaza. The Israeli military has said that it tried to minimize harm to all civilians, including children, and blamed Hamas militants for hiding among them, sometimes alongside their own families. Soldiers with the Israel Defense Forces have reported seeing children used as lookouts by Palestinian militant groups, which also kidnapped and killed children on October 7, 2023. Intentional harm to civilians, and especially to children, is strictly prohibited and completely contrary to both international law and the binding order of the IDF, the military said in a statement. A life of hunger. As Rahma flicked recently through pre-war photos on a cell phone, she stopped at an image of herself at an ice cream parlor. If someone gave me a choice between crayons and bread, Rahma Abu Abed, 12 years old, said, I would choose the bread. Credit, Bilal Sabir for the New York Times. Life for Rahma, like that of many children in Gaza, has become one of hunger. Israel has limited food supplies to the enclave since the earliest days of the war, and the situation has worsened since March, when Israel began its blockade. In late May, Israel allowed some food back into the territory using private contractors to distribute the food from a few sites. But for families like Rahma's, that did not solve the problem. Reaching the site is very dangerous and exhausting, in part because they were built behind Israeli military lines, far from where most people live. Hundreds have been shot and killed by Israeli soldiers as they try to reach the site, and those who get there unscathed often find the food has already been taken. Israel says its soldiers have fired warning shots at people who have strayed from designated access routes toward Israeli military lines. Reaching the sites is a process that favors the fittest. Rahma's father, Nidal Abu Abed, 42 years old, has often been knocked over during the rush toward the site, and he was once nearly shot, according to Rahma's mother, Heba Abu Abed, 32, because he rarely manages to secure a box of food. Mrs. Abu Abed added, her husband is regularly forced to gather lentil grains or bits of a broken pasta that have spilled onto the ground. And this is terrible. He picks them up. I clean them and I rinse them again and again to remove the sand or dust, Mrs. Abu Abed said. Then I cook them for the children. That's our meal, once a day if we are lucky. Rahma's younger sister, Rital, 2 years, is just learning to talk. The process of seeking aid looms so large in Rita's life that it even dominates a limited vocabulary. "Where is your dad?" Rita was asked on a recent afternoon. "Baba Aid," she replied. Palestinians, after reaching a raid site in central Gaza, hundreds have been shot and killed by Israeli soldiers as they have tried to reach the sites. While some food is available in the markets, it has often been unaffordable for families like Rahma's, and parents like the vast majority of Gazans have not worked. Though food prices have dropped in recent days after rise in deliveries, they are still astronomically high. On August 13, according to Gaza Chamber of Commerce and Industry, flour cost more than 10 times its pre-war price. Rama helps her family survive by fetching water. She stands in line every day with several empty plastic containers, waiting for water truck sent by an aid group. The process lasts for hours in the hot sun. Often until the afternoon, people often push past her, knowing she can do little to stop them. To alleviate the food crisis which drew global condemnation, Israel recently loosened restriction of the United Nations food convoys and permitted foreign air forces to airdrop aid packages over Gaza. When Rama gazes up all those planes, she said she wishes one would fly a family to a safer place. "I imagine riding on it like a hot air balloon, going to a country with no war, just food, school and toys," she said. Gaza is a world without school. Halabu Hilal, 10, pretends to be a teacher to keep her 4 younger sisters entertained. She stands up in their tent and recites things she remembers from school, sometimes simple math equation, sometimes the alphabet. 2 plus 4 equals, she calls, 6, they reply. In today's Gaza, this game of a make-believe is as close as most children get to school. Some 95% of schools have been damaged in the fighting, leaving most children without education for nearly 2 academic years, according to the United Nations. Many schools have been turned into displacement camps. Israel has regularly struck them, saying that Hamas leaders have used them as cover. Halala's school, like her own, is inaccessible. She is from Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, which has largely been flattened. She and her family fled their home last year and now live in a displacement camp 2 beach miles to the north. In this camp, there is currently no school, according to Alala's mother, Sana Abu Hilal. For a few months, volunteers in the camp ran a makeshift classroom teaching ad hoc classes in a tent, but that system ended when the last truce collapsed in March. Mrs. Abu Hilal said. The United Nations tried to provide basic teaching via online portal. Some teachers also send educational material to parents via WhatsApp, But for families like Hala's, the internet is often inaccessible. It's hard to connect for prolonged period to phone network and phone battery run out quickly. Mrs. Abu Hila has a phone with a broken screen that barely responds to a touch. Instead, Mrs. Abu Hilal tries to teach the children herself. Recently, she did Arabic grammar with Allah simple geometry with Bison 6 and the alphabet with Dima 5 years. But the sister have lost 4 semesters of learning, while Bison, who should have started school this year, has never received a formal education. Their sister Tala 8 seems most affected by the lack of classes. With no school to attend, Tala whiles away the day inventing games, some of which are disturbingly warped by violence that surround her. Once a mother recalled Tala picked up a stone and said to her sister, "I'll throw this stone," pretended it's an F-16 missile. Then she yelled in a tent. Before the war, Mrs. Abu Hilal said Tala was the star of the class, and sometimes got up in the middle of the night to cram for test. "I want to be a doctor," she said in an interview alongside a mother. "I want my daddy to build a hospital for me. I want to treat everyone for free. My daddy is in heaven now." Their father, Asha Abu Hila, a former janitor, tried to return to their home last August, seeking to retrieve some good that he could sell for food. According to Miss Abu Hilal, he never returned. A day later, his brother spotted him lying dead in a nearby street. Mrs. Abu Hilal said nearby gunfire prevented the brother from reaching Ashraf's body or discerning how he had died. Mrs. Abu Hilal added, "By the time they could reach the street safely, months later, little was left on the body," she said. The Israeli military said it was unaware of the episode. "I hear how other kids call their dads, and their dads reply," Mrs. Abu Hilal recalled, Hala telling her, "I wish Baba could answer me too." A childhood without parents. On one page in his notebook, Syed al-Gaban, 10, was drawn a picture of his mother and father at their old home in Kana Yunis in southern Gaza. On another page, there is a drawing of his mother taking him to vegetable stand. This is the closest Sajid can get to a hug from his parents. His father, Muhammad, and mother, Shireen, were killed in a strike that also destroyed their home in the third week of the war in 2023. The Israeli military said that the house had been used for terror purposes and declined to comment on whether Mr. Al-Aghabad was the target. One of Sajid's surviving aunts, Amani Abu Salah, said Said's father had no links to militant groups. It was not possible to verify either assertion. Syed survived the attack unscathed, but this is his sister Alma, now 12, and brother Adballah, now 8, suffered head injuries according to video of the aftermath and their surviving relatives. Alma was later evacuated to Turkey for treatment, relatives told the Times. For nearly 2 years, Sayed and Abdallah were cared for by another hound. Then in July, that hound was killed in a strike on nearby tent that also wounded the boys, according to Miss Abu Salah, the surviving hound. Now they live in another tent with Mrs. Abu Salah and her 3 children. Recently, Syed, remembering how his father kept a rifle at home, said he wanted to help guard the aid convoys that bring food into Gaza. He also offered to make the perilous journey to the aid distribution site despite the risk of getting shot by soldiers or crushed by the crowds. How would you do that? Mrs. Abu Salah remembered asking him. I'll do it just like the men do, Sayed replied, she said. Yet, sometimes Sayed just wants to be a child. He misses the sweet he ate before the war, he said. He misses being with his mother in their kitchen. He misses going to the park with his father. Why do all kids now have to wait in line for water? Said asked himself. I just want to go home, to go to school, he said. I just want the war to stop. And this is the article I want to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.